All right, let's talk about something that so many creators get stuck on: growing your podcast. We're going to break down the 5 biggest mistakes that can absolutely kill your show's momentum. And we're pulling these insights directly from podcast promotion specialist Mahabul Hassan. So let's get right into it. So let me ask you something and be honest. Is your podcast kind of stuck? I mean, you're putting in all this work, you're making the content, but those download numbers, they're just not budging. If that feels familiar, trust me, you are not alone. It's a super common problem. And there's a really high probability that one of just a few key mistakes is what's holding you back. And the worst part? A lot of podcasters have no idea they're even making them. But hey, that's what we're here to fix today. So we are going to break down the top 5 growth-killing mistakes. I want you to think of this as like a checkup for your podcast. By the end of this, you'll know exactly what's been slowing you down and, more importantly, you'll know how to fix it. Okay, first up, and honestly, this might be the most important one of all, having no clear target audience. It's this idea that you're trying to make a show for everybody. It sounds like a good plan, right? Bigger audience. But in reality, it almost always backfires. And this quote from our expert, Mahabul Hassan, just says it all perfectly. Think about it. When content is generic, it doesn't really create die-hard fans. It doesn't make a listener feel like, whoa, this show was made just for me. And that deep feeling of connection, that's what gets people talking about your show. So, the fix is to get super specific. You have to define your niche. Who exactly are you trying to reach? What do they care about? What are their problems? And what specific problem are you solving for them? Seriously, answering these 2 questions is the bedrock of any great podcast. Let's dive into mistake number 2, which is just a massive blind spot for so many creators: bad titles and zero SEO. I'm talking about search engine optimization. You could literally have the most amazing content on the planet, but if people can't find it when they search, it might as well not exist. And just look at this slide. The difference is night and day, right? On one side, you have episode 7, Random Talk, which tells you nothing. But on the other, How to Start a Podcast in 2026. That's not just a title. It's an answer to a question someone is literally typing into a search bar. It promises value right away. So the fix here is simple, but it is so powerful. You've got to write searchable, benefit-driven titles. When you nail this, 2 amazing things happen. Your click rate goes up because people know exactly what they're getting, and your search ranking on places like Spotify and Apple Podcasts gets a huge boost. Hello, new listeners! All right, on to mistake number 3, having absolutely no promotion strategy. This is that classic, if I make it, they will come trap. So many of us think our job is just to make great audio, hit that publish button, and then just wait for the audience to find us. But like Mahabul Hassan points out, that's a huge mistake. The podcasting world is crowded. These platforms aren't just going to automatically push your show to thousands of new people. Nope. You have to be the one driving your own growth. You have to be intentional. So, the solution is to actually have a plan. You've got to actively share your episodes on social media. Go find where your ideal listeners are hanging out. Maybe it's a Reddit forum or a specific Facebook group, and engage there. And, this is key, talk to the listeners you already have. Turn them into evangelists for your show. Okay, this next one's a serious one. We have to talk about the temptation of a shortcut. Mistake number 4 is using fake plays or bots just to pump up your download numbers. It might seem like a quick way to look more popular, but believe me, this is a really, really dangerous game to play. And here's why it's so bad for your show. First, it tanks your audience retention. The algorithm sees that listeners are dropping off after just a few seconds, and it thinks your show is bad, so it stops recommending you. This totally destroys any trust you've built with the platform and just sabotages any chance you have at real, long-term growth. So the fix could not be more clear. There are no shortcuts. You have to focus all your energy on attracting real listeners who actually want to hear what you have to say. Yeah, organic growth is slower, but it's real, it's sticky, and it's the only kind that truly matters. And finally, let's talk about the silent killer of podcast momentum: inconsistency. You publish an episode this week, then you disappear for a month, then you drop 2 episodes at once. That kind of unpredictable schedule, it's a huge problem, not just for your audience, but for the platforms themselves. And here's why that matters so much. The algorithms that decide which shows get discovered, they love predictability. When you publish on a consistent schedule, you're basically telling the platform, hey, I'm reliable, I'm a serious creator. And that makes it way more likely to show your podcast to new people. The fix here is all about creating a routine you can actually stick to. First, pick a schedule that's realistic for you. If you can only manage bi-weekly, that's totally fine. Don't promise weekly. Then, just commit to it. This does two things. It builds anticipation with your audience, and it gets you on the algorithm's good side. So we've gone through 5 very different mistakes, right? But what's interesting is they all point back to one single core issue. This is really the ultimate reason why most podcasts never seem to take off. And there it is. It's usually not because the show itself is bad. It's because there's no strategy. No strategy for who the show is for. No strategy for how people will find it. No strategy for promoting it. And no strategy for showing up consistently. Strategy is what turns good content into a successful show. So that's where we'll leave it. We've laid out the biggest traps. No clear audience, terrible SEO, no promotion, chasing fake numbers, and being inconsistent. And we know they all come from a lack of strategy. So the only question left is the important one. Now that you know what not to do, what's your strategy going to be?